A tenant is furious and she says it's not fair after being evicted after she withheld the rent because she said the landlord wasn't doing repairs fast enough. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over this tenant in Louisiana. She isn't happy, okay? She says it's not fair. She's absolutely upset because she says the landlord wasn't doing repairs fast enough, and so she withheld her rent. The problem is that the landlord has filed multiple evictions against this tenant for not paying the rent, and you know what? They were trying to make those repairs and she just wasn't patient enough to actually have them done. So the judge agreed with the landlord and she's out the door. Now, this is a warning for tenants, right? Know your laws, know the laws in your state. Some states say that, hey, tenants can withhold the rent if repairs aren't being made. Some states say you can't do that and you have to pay the rent. And obviously, she didn't know her state laws, and the end result is she got kicked out of the place. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. As a landlord in the state where you invest or where you live, does the state law say that tenants can withhold the rent for not doing repairs, or does the state law say that, hey, the tenant's got to keep paying rent? Okay, and I think part of my biggest problem with this is that I don't think that the tenant was being reasonable in terms of giving the landlord an opportunity to actually make the repairs. Okay, they were making a lot of excuses for why they weren't paying, but I think the real truth of the matter is that she didn't have the ability to pay. But we're going to see more details in just a moment as I go through the article. But there's a little video that goes with this article. I'll play that for you right now.
This isn't the first time Tamika Payne has been summoned here at the Justice of the Peace.
This is my third time.
This time, she withheld rent from her landlord because she says he didn't hold up his end of the deal.
Nothing was fixed. They came and changed an air filter, and they bought me a new refrigerator. That was it.
Here's that deal. A signed document from March stating what was required of each party. Payne says some of it was done, but not all of it.
I don't have a working stove. I only have one burner.
There's water leaking from the ceiling. Payne's landlord, Dr. Barry Wang, didn't show up to the hearing. Instead, sent a manager in his place.
Why were you trying to evict all these people this morning?
Mostly it's for rent.
All right, you saw the video. Let's get into the article. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A Tigerland tenant says the system is broken after being evicted from her apartment Tuesday. It was Tamika Payne's third time appearing before Justice of the Peace Larry Spencer for an eviction petition from the same landlord. After hearing her case, Payne says the eviction was granted, giving her family of 7 24 hours to vacate. I am furious. It's not fair, Payne said. Last month, Payne withheld her rent from her landlord, Dr. Barry Wang, because she says he didn't hold up his end of a written agreement. They had to make repairs. Well, you know what? Give the landlord time to actually make the repairs and make yourself available so if the landlord sends somebody by to do the repairs, they can actually get done. Okay, but the fact that this is the third time that the same landlord has filed eviction against this lady tells me that, hey, there's something more going on than just repairs, and it has to do with her not having the ability to pay the rent. This isn't a great tenant. Okay, you can just tell if you are filing eviction against the same tenant 3 times. This is probably a pretty bad tenant and a pretty low income household. But that's common. Okay, I have low income renters in my places. I don't file for eviction this much, but like I was just notified by my property manager that, hey, unit's empty. The tenant didn't give any notice that they were leaving. They just left. Okay, and I'm not going to be pursuing them. The place is in decent shape. I'm not going after them for the rest of the lease amount. I'm just going to get the place cleaned up a little bit more and then rent it out again. But you know what? If you can't afford the place, that I would much rather you just go rather than me trying to go through the eviction courts and trying to get you the heck out of there. I appreciate the fact that the tenant just left. Okay, goodbye and good riddance, and I'll put somebody in there as quickly as possible to replace you. So anyway, let me continue. Nothing was fixed. They came and changed an air filter and brought me a refrigerator. That was it, she said. The document is signed by Payne, her husband, and the maintenance manager, Larry Phillips. It says the March rent is waived due to perishables lost in the refrigerator, no working stove. The agreement says new appliances would be installed, including a new refrigerator and stove. It also says the kitchen sink would be repaired, shower repaired, AC vents cleaned, and air filter replaced by the last week of March. The agreement said rent would resume in April, but since the list wasn't completed, Payne withheld a portion of her rent. So it sounds like the landlord was making a reasonable try to finish the repairs. Okay, got her a new refrigerator. I think it said, yeah, brought in a new refrigerator and changed the air filter, which are two of the things that were on the list, right? And waived the rent completely for the month of March since she lost all of the food in the refrigerator. That's very, very fair. Now, keep in mind that hey, sometimes we've got repairmen who are backed up. We've got a long list of things that need to be done. So the stuff that isn't a immediate priority might get pushed back a week or two. You have to give the landlord a chance to actually make the repairs. Everything isn't instant. This isn't instant. Okay? Things don't work that way. When you're talking about a landlord, sometimes, like I know some landlords will call multiple contractors to get bids on the work that's being done in order to get the best deal possible. Okay? So give the landlord a little bit of time. If it didn't happen by the end of March, it doesn't mean that you get a free ride for the month of April as well. No, it means you agreed that you got the month of March for free. You didn't agree anything about getting the month of April free, so you screwed yourself over by not paying. I don't have a working stove. I only have one burner, she said. There's water leaking from the ceiling in several places throughout the apartment, mold, a broken gate, and unmaintained grass, to name a few issues. The maintenance manager, Larry Phillips, says Payne was continuously late on her rent, and he attempted to make the repairs, but Payne wasn't home. Payne says Phillips should have a key to make those repairs. Phillips says he did not have a key. So, yeah, she wasn't home when he came by to make the repairs. So, it makes it a little bit difficult to do the repairs now, doesn't it? Now, maybe there should have been a little bit more coordination going on, but the fact of the matter is, doesn't matter. Did you pay the rent? That's the question. And no, you did not. So therefore, guess what? That's why you're being evicted right now. You agreed to those things for the month of March, and you had your month of March rent waived. But that doesn't mean that the landlord wasn't going to make the repairs. That just means that, hey, the timetable's a little bit late. And if you wanted to make sure you weren't evicted, why didn't you just pay the landlord immediately what you owed? Like I said, this is a crappy tenant using a lot of excuses for why they didn't pay the rent. Now that she's been evicted, she thinks the system is broken and feels like she has no rights as a tenant. It's going to stay broken because they're not trying to help people, and they wonder why there's so many homeless people or so many families going without because there's no help. Like, you want money, but you don't want to do what needs to be done, Payne said. She and her family, which includes 5 girls under the age of 9, are packing up their belongings without a place to go. Phillips says he plans to make the repairs once Payne is vacated. So, you know what? The landlord has to make the repairs anyway. Okay? The landlord just wants their money. We have to make the repairs anyway. We can't put a tenant in there with the place all broken. No. So, God, the idiocy of these tenants sometimes, like they don't understand the way that things work. They think that, hey, well, one, everything's got to be instant, or we're going to get free, or we can withhold the rent just because everything isn't absolutely perfect. Well, nothing ever is going to be perfect. This is a house. In my personal home, I have stuff that breaks. And sometimes it takes me a couple of months to get stuff repaired in my personal home, okay, where I live, that I own. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to get done. It just means that, hey, your timetable is whack. It's out of whack with reality. I've had to call contractors who've taken 2 or 3 weeks before they're able to even get to my house to do repairs in some cases, okay? This is the reality of living in the world. And, you expect the landlord to just rush over and do everything for free and, just take all those losses and you get, you pay nothing. Well, no, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, I'm glad they got rid of this tenant. Hopefully this landlord's able to get in a tenant who pays, that they don't have to go through the eviction process 3 times with. Because remember, every single time you file eviction, like in my case at least, I am paying a lawyer. So you're paying the lawyer a lot of money. And after the 3rd time, I'd be like, you know what, it doesn't matter anymore. I just want you out of here. Okay. Actually, after the 1st time, I'd be saying that this landlord's a lot nicer than I am.